Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So I'll start off with Shin and Kristen. So Kristen walks in the lab looking for Roth, and she sees Shin coming out the curtains of Stefano's bed, bedside. Next thing you know, Stefano's heart, like the monitor just goes off. He rushes over there, realizes the power is like off, and she's able to turn back on the power. This dude literally decided to just walk in there like, you know what? Yeah, you don't really fit my plans on being alive, so I'm just gonna kill you now. After berating him, I don't know why I keep calling him Step. Shen tells Kristen, about Roth and him making a deal and, funding his project and everything like that. And his reasoning for getting Stefan back alive was for some sort of power play. But, he didn't count on being with Gabby and really liking her and everything like that. So, he kind of was like, yeah, you don't really serve a purpose for me except for a rival, and I'm not really about that. So, at first Kristen's like, all right, I'm gonna call the cops. And Shin's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. But Shin does. At this point, because Kristen's like, all right, so let me sit there and get Ruff over here and, bring him back to life. And Shen's like, no, don't do that just yet. And she's like, well, why would I do that for? So Shen's plan is when Ruff comes to wake up Stefan, he's gonna implant some memories because apparently he had a thing at one point for Chloe. So his plan is to get Stefan to, still be madly in love with Chloe, break up Chloe and Brady, and this way Kristen could be back with, Brady and, be one happy family. But Kristen's like, one, that may not work, and two, what's that to stop Gabby from sitting there wanting to be with him still? He's all like, one plan at a time. And I'm just sitting there thinking, Shen, what is your plan? Because at this point, you're not going to kill him. And even if, by some chance, let's just sit there and say some chance, that Stefan's able to win Chloe back. It really doesn't matter because once Gabby finds out that Stephens is alive, he's gonna go running. She's gonna go running right to him. So I don't know what kind of tricks he got up his hat or anything like that, but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very very interesting. And I also feel like by the time they wake up Stefan, everything's gonna be moved over to Peacock. I know I haven't talked about it in a while, but I feel like that's what's gonna wind up happening. By the time they actually wake him up, it's going to be time for everything to shift to Peacock. And that's going to really make some people want to join Peacock. If nothing else, but to sit there and see how this whole Stefan story is going to go. If people who are Stefan fans and just in general the show in the direction that it's going in. So, you got to sit there and say, I know this was something that they had to do, but I feel like the timing of it was very calculated. You gotta sit there and remember, it's not like they did some sort of press tour or anything like that. Like they didn't sit there and start telling people like months in advance, oh by the way, you're gonna be shipping our stuff to Peacock soon. They didn't have the actors come out and sit there and say, hey, you wanna sit there and continue watching the show, supporting us, why don't you go to Peacock? It was literally just like one day people just woke up and it was on the news, like, oh, they're gonna be shipping up to Peacock. Like what? It felt like I don't want to sit there and say it was no warning, but it felt like it was a last minute warning. You just wake up one day and then they tell you like 30 days you're not going to be able to watch it on the channel anymore. Like, what? I feel like the timing was very calculated. They knew that they had to do it. And what better way to sit there and get people to jump on board since they've been talking about Stefan for a while and we're seeing this whole thing going and he's going to be waking up soon and how that's going to sit there and, transpire that now they decide to move it to Peacock. So yeah, I don't think that was an incident as far as the timing and everything. So Lucas calls his mom and Lucas tells Kate that, yo, I changed my plea to guilty. Allie wants me to take responsibility, and if I want to have any chance in her life again, this is what I need to do. So she's not happy, and she starts trying to fight him a little bit on it, but Lucas like I already made up my mind. So the sentence is normally 5 years, but it's going to be down to 3 years, and I guess if he's lucky, he'll only serve a year and a half, maybe. So she pretty much just kind of says her goodbyes to him. Now, while that's going on, you got Abe, Paulina, and Roman in the bar, and Paulina had ulterior motives. It wasn't for a nightcap or whatever. I don't understand why you still call stuff a nightcap, but it wasn't for a nightcap or anything like that. At first, she wanted to get Roman's help, wanted to convince Abe to be a governor. And Roman's like, yo, I would sit there and vote for him if he's president, but that's his call to make. So she drops it for now. But then she starts bringing up Kate, as far as forgiving Kate and everything like that. She tries to really bat for Kate. She does this whole, I can sympathize with her because of, you know, I guess dealing with fear as far as like, powerful men, like making them feel like, feared and afraid or whatever. And at first I was like, what? But she did go somewhere. She talks about Chanel. She talks about no Chanel. She talks about she doesn't really get into it, but she talks about her reason why she did what she did. Saying that she can she can relate to Kate. Roman's not buying it because Roman's like, yo, listen, I dealt with a similar situation with Eric. Eric wants to take responsibility for what he did, and even though Roman was like, I can sit there and kind of smooth it over, I can whatever. Eric was like, no, I need to sit there and atone. So Roman's like, yo, listen, I get where she's coming from, as far as a parent's instincts, but you can't coddle your children. You gotta sit there and let them take responsibility. And if Kate, has her lawyer just gets him out of it, then he doesn't learn anything. And I understand that Pauline would sit there riding for Kate, but I felt like all Roman had to sit there and do was like, yo, if that was your daughter, would you be so easy to sit there and forgive, Abe, if a situation like that happened, like, would you sit there and be able to forgive that? And I feel like she would have understood that. I'm kind of shocked that Rome didn't go there with the hypothetical. Anyway, he was like, "Yo, I'm not dealing with Kate." And then Kate comes over, and Kate tells Rome that Lucas is going to jail, to make atonement and everything like that. And then she also tells him that she decided to turn herself in as far as an accessory. So now she's going to jail. Then he just had that look like, yeah, I was okay with your son going to jail because he did, you know, screw up my daughter, but I mean, you kind of did too. But I wasn't like he had that look in his face, like, yeah, I was not counting on you going to jail. Like he didn't want her to go to jail, so that's going to be kind of interesting. Lucas was on the show. I mean, he came back to the show um, when I first started watching it. Now I don't know how long he was gone before then. But he came back to the show. and now he's leaving again. And it's just so interesting. It's so interesting. I've lost count of how many characters done already left. But if Kate leaves and Lucas leaves, now granted, when I understand, Carrie's supposed to be coming back, I could have swore, Shen's sister was supposed to be coming to the show. And I'm kind of disappointed that she's not on the show, but I guess there's a chance that she can come on the show later along the line. I really wanted Paul to actually come back to the show. That's the character that I want to come back to the show. Paul was a badass, so hopefully we'll get him in the show at some point. But yeah, now you got Kate and Lucas going. He does sit there and call Allie, and he's like, "Yo, I gotta sit there and talk to you," you know. So they're probably gonna have their heart to heart probably either tomorrow or the next day. We'll wait and see. So Brady winds up telling Chloe that there's a good chance that Kristen could fight for custody, um, to try to get sole custody, or take the child and just run. So Brady's not there thinking about maybe sharing custody. I'm like, bro, you do realize that Rachel is also her daughter. Like, I don't understand why that's not an option as far as sharing custody. Don't get me wrong, I get all the stuff that she did back in the day was, oh, it was pretty terrible. But at the end of the day, all those crimes have been pretty much exonerated. You know what I'm saying? Like, white claims, so it's a clean slate. I mean, granted, morally, it's definitely wrong, but still, I'm like, bro, you should just do share custody. You know, I'm like, if this stuff, if it goes to trial, she can win. She can win for a couple of different reasons. Money and influence. Money and influence. Now, granted, there is another reason why she can win. And I don't know how true this is now, but I know back in the day, whenever there was a custody hearing and things of that nature, people always said that, 9 times out of 10, um, the courts generally tend to favor the woman. I don't know how it is today, but if it's, still like that now, it's like, bro, you're screwed. Like you're screwed. Um. Anyway, after that, he says he loves her, and then they have sex, and it's just, okay, whatever. Now I think the last scene was the whole Alex flirting with Gabby and Chanel and Allie being spectators. I talked about this scene last because, to be honest, I really just didn't like it at all. I didn't like yesterday's scene. I didn't like today's scene. I was talking to somebody who watches Days, when I was at work, and she literally said that yesterday was the worst episode she's ever seen. In 40 years of her watching this show, that was the worst episode, and I was like, damn. I mean, I didn't hate the episode. I hated that part of the episode, but um, she also did sit there and say that they should have probably waited longer to bring Robert back as a new character because it wasn't even that much of a time frame lapse between him leaving Days and being on Beyond Salem, and then maybe 2 weeks. Oh, he's going to come back as another character. Now again, when I talked to her, I was saying the same thing that I said to everyone in this video. That it was not fair that he had to sit there and leave his job because Victoria, think that's her name, Ciara, the actress that plays Ciara, she wanted to leave. So it's not fair for him to actually have to give up his career and his character just because, she wants to leave the show. So for a lot of those different reasons, I understood why they did what they did, and I was okay with it. And I do like Alex as a character. So far, I do like him as a character. It's just this whole scene just didn't work. And then after they kept playing spectator, um, Gabby left, and that's when Alex was like, oh, we should all sit there and share together. And he talked about a threesome, and it was like, no, we didn't dare, we good. And then afterwards, I was about to say Robert left. I think Alex left or he stayed. I don't even remember because I wasn't paying that much attention to that scene. Um, I think Allie said something along the lines of, you didn't want to sit there and do that, did you? And I'm like, sick annoys me. I, I really have nothing else to sit there and say about that scene. It just was a scene that I didn't really like at all. But I feel like that's pretty much more or less about it. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see everyone in the next video.